What's up, everybody? Today at Trashman Gaming, we're going to be showing you what system requirements you need to build a PC to stream FreeFire using Game Loop LD Player on a PC device. So to get started, we are over here today on Newegg, and this is Newegg's custom PC builder. It's a great tool to use if you haven't seen it or are not familiar with it. You can literally select from hundreds of parts to pick out the configuration that works best for you. Now remember, guys, this is just a build for a PC. It is not anything extravagant. It's not going to be anything that you can do extreme video editing on. It's just bare bones playing the game. So let's get started here. On the system requirements of that, you need at least a Intel i3 with onboard graphics, which would be the Intel HD Graphics 4000s, I believe, or an AMD equivalent. So that is the bare minimum on that processor. So if we go over here in our tab, we'll go ahead and click it. We can go to the i3 and the AMD equivalent, which is going to be a Ryzen 3. Hit apply on that. So either one of these will do. Currently, guys, just know that there is going to be a huge backlog right now. PC parts are out of stock left and right. So if you can find them, kudos to you. If not, understand the struggle is real right now. So for here, I'm more familiar with AMD. This is where we're going to switch off from the Intel, and we're going to select this. This is our Ryzen 3. On this, it has a 3.6 gigahertz core clock, and if I believe this one boosts, okay, so this one doesn't show it, but on this gigahertz, guys, that's the speed at what the processor is running. So faster the gigahertz, faster the processor is running. Why that matters to you? The CPU is what's building the foundation, the groundwork, everything like that for the game. So CPU builds it. When we get to GPUs, we'll explain, but the GPU paints the picture. CPU builds, GPU paints. So next, we're going to move to the motherboard. Now this is an important part and a very tricky part at that, because if you're planning on doing a further upgrade, you're going to want to buy a better motherboard. So it's going to be more costly. But if you're just looking to do our bare minimum build like you do, come on over here and look for a 450 board. They run anywhere from about $80 to $170. Fairly cheap, but the ones that I find to be the most bang for the buck, I use them in a lot of my builds and am a true fan of them, is the Asus Tough Gamings. So on our form factor, let's go ahead and filter some of this out real quick. Give me 1 second. Let's go with Asus. And you have a couple different options here in all of their things. So here we're looking at an ATX board. ATX is like a standard size board, have you say. Then you'll see down here you have micro ATX. That's a little bit smaller. It's important for that because later on when you are selecting your case, you're going to make sure that you have enough room to fit that board in there. Other than that, any of these boards will do fine. For this one, we're going to select a standard length board at $120 of just a regular Asus Tough Beef 450. So let's select that. Moving on down here, guys, memory, also referred to as RAM. For system requirements of that, you're going to need at least 4 gigabytes. I don't recommend that. While you're in it right now, go with 8. Again, this is the bare minimum on that build. Lots of different options. Again, guys, all we need is to click 8 gigabytes per module and apply. And let's go ahead and run it down to our lower price things. So guys, another brand to be looking for, G-Skill here, makes very good RAM. But we're not going to select this one, even though it is the cheapest, for simply based on its speed. The Ryzen series really works better up in the 3000s range. The 3200 is what I'm going to go for with the one on the onboard graphics. But typically your 3600 RAM is your better buy for higher performance chips. I run it in my computer here. So let's get that, go back to our filter. Oop, down here. So filter our speed if we can. Alright, so we'll click this one. Guys, normally I would not go with this sort of RAM just based on its rating. If it's getting poor ratings, you don't get infected with it. There's enough PC people out there, if they're writing reviews on this and it's getting poor on Newegg, chances are it's not worth your value. But we're going to select it just for the sake of the video and move forward. Last one, guys, this is where you're going to run into a big problem. GPUs are insanely expensive right now. Scalpers are getting them. The shortage on the materials it takes to make these up is causing the prices to skyrocket. Cards that last year this time were sitting in the $100 to $300 price range are up into $600. So let's see what we can come up with, because we don't need much to run this. Actually, for this build right here, we don't need a graphics card at all. But for our next build, we'll be showing that all you really need for the recommended setup is a GTX 660. So let's go find that real quick, and that's going to be an NVIDIA. That's going to be over here. Pop that up. We got, where's it at? GeForce 600 series. Let's click on that and apply. See about what one of these runs right now for. Ooh, so there you have it, folks. $380. This is not a $380 card normally. So just wanted to show you the sake of the RAM, and to show you even on the new cards, the 3060s, to give you an idea how much markup that truly is. Let's go over here. Okay, $399. That is the MSRP for that card. You will not buy it at this price right now because it's out of stock. You're going to be finding scalpers out there selling them for $850 all day, every day. Don't know why, but oh well. Moving on, this is the part I was telling you about, a case. So we're looking for a case. We're going to go with our standard mid-tower case, ATX. This should fit most of our boards. And guys, these manufacturers over here are going to be your higher end cases. Corsair, Fractal Design, Cooler Master, Lee, Thermaltake, and Fantex. Fantex is what I run. All of these are great companies to go with, but if you're on a budget, hit that apply button, and then we're going to go to the lowest. Some of these cases that I have used in the past are still excellent cases. The one I started all this with was this one right here for $44. It comes with 3 fans. Nope, that is not the one I used first. Let me see if we can find that. Alright, well, we'll jump back. We're going to go with that one anyways. 3 fans. And that's important. You got to keep a PC cool, otherwise you're going to run into overheating issues. Alright, now as we move into our power supply on this selector, look at the top right screen where my mouse is. That's going to tell you your wattage. You only need 145 watts to run this, so barely anything at all. But one recommendation I do make, you're going to want to go full modular on this one. Full modular versus non-modular ones means you can click the connection cables in at the motherboard, CPU, wherever it's going, and you can click it into the power supply. If you go with a non-modular case, it's going to be connected at the power supply and it's going to run up. A lot of them too, when when they have the non-modular ones, it's red and yellow ketchup and mustard colored cables. They're awful looking. It doesn't make for a clean looking build. So highly recommend spend the extra money, get yourself a modular power supply. Alrighty. So we're probably not gonna find one that low at 145 for a modular. Probably about 550 or 450 is gonna be the lowest one. But let's go ahead, click on the lowest price to get them up there. And like I said, but at $54 EVGA power supply, it's gonna be where it's at. It's got a bronze certification. For the $10 extra though, guys, come on up here to this EVGA Supernova and go with the gold certified. They put a little better parts in them. It's going to last you better. Next step, we're going to go with the storage. On this one, there's a couple different types. You got hard drives. Those are spinning disk. They tend to be a little bit slower than our solid state drives or SSDs. For this one, this is where we're going to try to make things a little bit faster, and I would not skimp on the money on this one. And we're going to come over here to get an NVMe. There's a couple different types of SSDs. These ones up here, these top 5 or 6, these are all NVMe's. They're great. These ones down here, those are just regular, I believe they're 2.5 or 3.5, 2.5 form factors. Just regular SSDs. The speeds on them are a little bit slower, so we really want to get that high-end speed. So let's see the price we got going on. And from here, if it's just going to be a gaming rig, you're not going to be putting a lot on it, and we're doing a budget build on this one. We're just going to pick out this one, $55. Boom, throw it in the cart. Lastly, guys, CPU cooler. If your CPU right here does not come with a if it doesn't come with a cooler, you need to go in here and buy a cooler. And when you select on it, go in. There's 2 different types. There are fan and water. We're not going to be running water on this one. Strictly just a budget build. Another good one right here gets a lot of reviews. 20 bucks. You can pick that up. It's going to do the job, and it'll do it well. And then for you guys, last, pick out your operating system. Windows 10 64-bit. Right here. Gonna run you about 100 bucks. There are other ways to do it. Just keep that in mind. But for the sake of this build, we're throwing it on there. So guys, let's review it here. We got an AMD 3200G, 3.6 gigahertz, 4-core, onboard graphics. That's why we do not need a graphics card on this build. It's onboard based graphics. Secondly, we got the Asus TUF B450 Plus. Great board, in my opinion. Only 8 gigs of RAM on this one to keep the cost in mind. Got a SAMA 3D black steel. EVGA Supernova 550, more than enough to get the job done. Give you some room too if you decide to do some upgrades later on. PNY for our solid state drive. And finally, a thermal take cooler with our operating system. And the grand total of this is going to run us about $582. Keep in mind, with this build, it is just for playing Free Fire. You're not going to get much out of video editing or even mainstream gaming. But I wanted to show you this for guys interested in playing it on PC. It can be done, and it can be done fairly cheap.